Hey everyone, Sitter Alice Music here, and I'm back with another thoughts on damage because I just made a new discovery. And it has to do with the Fire Techniques book, Flickering Flame. And this is something that I'm probably going to be adding to all monk builds, probably the duelist build in the wiki, and probably any build that uses any fast attacking weapons. I also did discover something interesting with heavy attacking weapons as well. But if we read Flickering Flame, it actually scales with attack speed, which is very interesting. And I think you can do quite some interesting stuff with this. So we have sharpness 5, ambush 1 on our Monkey King staff, and we can go invisible so we can take full advantage of ambush. And so watch what happens. We start out at 170 like DPS or something like that, and then we can stop there, but we can also jump and spin with Whirlwind at the same time. And then we can just go back to this. And yeah, we're falling in DPS, but we're still above 100. Oh, and look at that. We can go back again. And we can raise it again. And it'll get to 106. And that ability right there is a new flip ability, so let's look at that. You only flip that much when you jump and do it, but it's called Dragon Slam, and you actually perform a fiery slam, first launch yourself into the air if already airborne. And you can deal a lot of physical damage with it. You can deal some bonus fire damage with it, but I'm not really concerned about that for this particular build. So we can actually kind of add this into our DPS rotation if we want to a little bit, just to have some fun. We don't have to, but I personally am going to at least try. And then I'm going to jump, and then we're going to raise it, and we're just going to try and keep it above 100, and we can do that pretty easily. And then we go here. And then I'm just going to go maybe about halfway. And yeah, you do lose DPS by casting that ability, but I mean, it's fun to cast. I mean, it's a free 100 damage. So we can even add the fist into it, I guess. Oh, and but only if I scroll to it correctly, because it'll, if I, like, for some reason, my scroll doesn't like to go just one. So a lot of the times when doing a lot of these skills, and it just ends up rolling to something that I don't want. When all I really want to do is go to the next Fury of a Thousand Fists, so I can just, you know, just do that. Although, you know, ideally not miss the attacks. So that's a pretty interesting one. I do wonder if I can do this ability and switch in time to start the spell here, because if I can, that could end up being a lot of damage on the first hit, which means that I'm overall going to have more DPS in a fight. I don't know if I can switch fast enough. I'm going to be honest with you. But yeah, and there's another really fun thing you can do. You can build up Ferocity with the Twisted Blade, and that gives you attack speed. It'll appear as haste, and so my Charm of Haste 2 won't be active. This will be active instead, and it'll just show up as haste and not haste 2. So that's how I know that I'm getting ferocity stacks, and also I can tell by my attack speed. Alright, I'm at full ferocity stacks. And then I just begin the DPS at 150. Alright, sorry, 250. While it goes down. And then I just do this. And it will go down a little bit, but you can still keep it above 100. So, yeah. Also, I just realized I don't have the, I don't have the actual Fist of Fury, dual wielded, so that's why I wasn't getting a whole lot of DPS on that. So, I don't know if that's practical to pull off, though. Because, I mean, you can do this on Obsidian, right? Like, in creative mode. And, you know, I can get the ferocity stacks. And, I mean, it goes down a lot, but I think it'll get to that halfway point before it goes invincible. Yeah, and then when I do that, it just automatically goes to that 7th slot. And I think it's because it still registers as me hitting the spell. So it just goes to the 7th slot. So I'm not really sure what the proper timing is to switch to this. And then do this. And then either go back to this spell or probably Whirlwind by that point. So I can finish off the fight a little bit faster. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. And Flickering Flame is probably one of the best DPS abilities in the entire game. Supernova, the artifact, has a scaled version of it, which is fun. It has something called fire projection, and it's a scaled version of this hit. I don't know if yeah, I don't have a lot of this doesn't have a lot of inherent attack speed because the Monkey King staff has 4 attack speed, which is why it works so well. I'd probably have to build some sort of fire build and see, you know, how well that would work with this, which I hear people are getting 100 DPS, so cool. But yeah, this is a cool spell. I always like that one. Of course, I don't have an arcane build, so naturally it's not going to do a whole lot. And I'm not sure if that's just all arcane damage or if that's... What are you... What? Red Merchant. Supplementaries. And I can't trade with them. Weird. Okay, anyway, I have never seen Red Merchant before. I have tested Committed versus Ambush. I seem to get decent hits with Committed when it does trigger, but that's usually on the first little hit on the boss. And it does less damage when it triggers. The less health a boss has. So I feel like consistent damage is actually a little bit better. Either that or you swing first with Committed, you pray that it triggers, and then you switch to your whatever your DPS weapon is in your build. So yeah, consistent damage for the win. And like we've seen, we can keep this little DPS rotation that we got going on here well above 100 DPS. I mean, I could probably get to 110 DPS if the fight lasted long enough and I could just swing on the boss long enough, even though that's not really practical in any sort of like test application. especially right now because Mythic Obsidiolith is not in the game, and Obsidiolith also has an invincibility phase that it does eventually go into. So maybe you could test on Void Blossom, although I hear that Void Blossom has some sort of... Oh, oh no! I forgot that that skill does that. It latches on to like any enemy, but or anything nearby, which makes me wonder how this works in multiplayer. But I think yeah, I'm gonna be adding this book to all the builds that use fast attacking weapons. So, yep, that's about it.